So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we will have the theme song up. So, continue to share the stream out for everything called because me and DJ is going to cover some topics here pretty soon. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But once we get this up and running, I promise you this is going to be a great talk show. So, give us a few moments. We got technical difficulties on the side here, but I promise you guys, you're in for a rude morning show that's going to rock your foundation off here on Preaching Truth about CAW, everything CAW, of course. Um, it's going to be a good talk show. So, like I said, bear with us. We're having technical difficulties, and we will be back with you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for Everything CAW podcast, preaching truth about CAW. Now, we got a lot of things to discuss here on this podcast. You know, being the very first episode of this Everything CAW podcast, we got a lot, and I mean a lot to discuss. But I'm going to make this episode very spicy, just like I do any other podcasts, whether you watch Nitro is Dead here on the channel, whether you watch Moment of Truth, whether you watch No Ring, No Rules podcast. I'm going to make everything down to earth sweet. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a man that is also a CAW creator in the CAW wrestling industry, the one and only Chaotic Danger, the current TNA Titan Nation Alliance International Champion, has entered the booth for the very first podcast of Everything CAW. Welcome.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? What up? Hopefully y'all have your snacks and drinks ready, because we in for a wild ride tonight.
I mean, you know, going back to Everything CAW, we talk about Everything CAW, Roz. So, I mean, this is going to be a juicy one to talk about here on this podcast. And, you know, getting back into the segment that I want to, you know, address here that I kind of feel like that needs to be addressed is very first thing that I'm going to pop up here as a banner. And many of you guys agree with me. And it is a very simple question we want to ask you guys. Whether you're in the booth with us on the commentary booth, as well as myself and Mr. Chaotic here, or whether you're in live chat, the first question is this. What does CAW mean to you?
That is an interesting one. That is an interesting one indeed.
Now, to me, I could answer this, you know, with 100% passion. CAW is everything. It's, you know, getting to see what, you know, these indie wrestlers go through. It's the passion we love in professional wrestling, whether you hate to admit that or not. That is totally up to you. You have your own opinions and thoughts about that. That's why the comments section's open. But I kind of feel like that I'm going to take this first question, and I'm going to leave it to Mr. Chaotic, the Titan Nation Alliance International Champion, of course. But, you know, CAW means to me is this. It means, you know, bringing loyalty, bringing friendships. You know, it's not about tearing people down. It's building them up. So, I mean, if you're the type of CAW promoter that wants to tell somebody, hey, you can't go here, or, oh, you can't go there, well, guess what? You're kind of tearing somebody down rather than building them up, and you're not practicing what you're preaching. I'm just going to throw that in there as well. But I've said enough as already before we get into that topic, but I'm going to turn it over to the Titan Nation Alliance International Champion, Chaotic Danger, to answer this question.
What CAW means to me is very simple. The creative, the passion, the energy that you put into your CAW, from the moveset to the entrance to the overall presentation. Not just half-assing it, not just putting the design out there. It's what you put your heart and soul into. And that being said, make the best of everything you have in CAW, because you never know when things can turn around quick for you, especially for the rookies and new creators coming into this. Get around some good people. There are a lot of good people out here in CAW.
Now, I kind of feel like this question needs to be answered. Um, I think this question needs to definitely be answered. So I'm going to put this part of this podcast here so you guys can actually take a look at this, because the next question that is on the top of the list, as you could see, what's CAW mean to you guys in the live chat? You guys comment below. Tell us, what does CAW mean to you? But while we are switching from this, we will still read out your comments in the chat. So go ahead and put those comments in the chat and we'll read it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go with the second question of this. And it's, what's the biggest mistake new CAW creators make? Or it could be old CAW creators make. This question is definitely a question I want to answer. And I want to thank, a lot of people for giving me these questions to answer, because I kind of feel like that the biggest mistake new CAW creators make, and not only new ones but also experience, which is the vet, I've seen is trusting people that should never be allowed to, especially if you put them on the blacklist and you allow them to come back knowing, it may be for stupid reasons, or it may be for reasons such I'm about to name. It could be making fake accounts of you. It could be allowing allowing pedos. That's another good one. I mean, the biggest mistake that CAW creators make, and not only CAW creators but CAW promoters, is this: their biggest mistake that they ever do is, one, they trust people that pretty much are like a snake. And there's a quote about this, guys. This is the true quote of all, so I want you guys to take notes and listen. A snake only sheds its skin to get bigger. So that means just because you invite them back doesn't mean they are actually going to try to help you. It is going to shed its skin to be that bigger snake. And I feel like the biggest mistake that people can do, and I'm trying to say this, 100% right on point accurate, is, yes, it's good to make peace and CAW. I'm not saying everything's going to work out in your favor, but I'm just saying in general that sometimes that it's one of those things that you just got to bite your tongue on. But also you got to watch who you allow into your feds, because here's the thing that is the truest saying of them all. You go out and pick for example, you go out and pick a apple from an apple tree. Okay, you got, let's say, 9 out of 10 are good fruit. But you go pick at one apple and you notice a bad apple and you're going to put it with the good fruit. You know what's going to happen to that good fruit? That good fruit is basically going to get rotted by that bad apple, and you're going to lose all 9 of your apples. In other words, you're going to lose 9 good CAW wrestlers on the show because of one bad person. So, in other words, you need to have a structural system that balance it out to basically say, once they do this shit, they're going to have to earn the trust back and earn their keeps before they can come back. The reason why I say this is because of this. And hear me out. I'm the voice that counts. A lot of people don't like me. Okay. I get it, because I pretty much have a voice and tell it like it is. I understand that sometimes that, when you have a voice big as mine and you got a big enough mouth, people listen. People start taking notes. People start saying, hey, maybe this guy ain't bad after all. Maybe this guy's trying to tell us something that we're not listening to. It's sad to say that a lot of CAW creators, their biggest mistake is they don't listen to the people that's telling the truth. They rather just listen to people that's telling them lies for years, bullshit for years, and put, especially, for example, I'm going to put this, and I know a lot of people is going to get mad since I mentioned this, but I'm going to put this in context, where everybody can understand. It's one of those things, like, for example, what we had to recently go through. It's basically one of those things. It's better than to just ask for a release than to constantly stir up trouble. And sometimes, not everybody's going to agree with you. At the end of the day, not everybody is going to hold on to you and, support you and, be a partner with you, or, any of that, etceteras, any of that good ending shit. A lot of it ends in bad endings. And what I mean by this is bad endings is they could just, to be join your roster just to make you quit your show, or to drop your show, or to cancel your show, or I kind of feel like saying this. They could join your show just to see what they can get out of it. And the thing that I learned over the years being in the call industry is this: your main focus on the call industry is bettering yourself. Do not worry about people that are trying to bring you down, that is trying to make fake accounts about you, because it happens in professional wrestling. If you guys think about it, look at, Thea Hale. She spoke out on the hate of professional wrestling. And it's the same damn thing with CAW. It's the hate, because the haters know you're being successful. The haters know that they can't do nothing to you because you are succeeding in something, and they can't stand the fact that you are pushing yourself to be a better CAW promoter, CAW creator, CAW wrestler. The list goes on and on and on. I can name all, everything up in the ladder. Maybe a CAW GM. Maybe you're going to be the next Eric Bischoff in CAW, or you could be next Eugene that comes out and, or, my favorite, wrestler that I remember, watching on television, and this is part of me, being a part of CAW, is Goldust. When he looks at Triple H and he's like, you don't have it in your cornbread, damn it, cornbread. And the funniest thing is, he was trying to say cockles, but he couldn't say it right because he had a speech impairment, like a speech problem. So he had to put it in a way to make it funny to get, a lot of laughs in that arena. Same thing with CAW. Try to make things funny to where it's, going to bring people in and not take people away. Drama does that. I kind of feel like the drama talks, these bad people are pushing everything away. They don't want you to be successful. They want to be on your show because they feel like they entitled to screw you over because they hate you. I'm just going to speak facts here. And boy, I'm going to probably get another podcast on me somewhere out there over this by speaking the facts. I'm probably going to be talked about in another live messenger chat on Facebook because I speak the facts. Maybe I need to actually be the Jim Cornette here and tell everybody that, hey, maybe you couldn't book a wrestling show at a goddamn flea market. Whatever the case may be, that's what I'm going to say. But getting back in the context here and getting back in the structure of what is set here on this podcast is this: when you look at everything that you do as a CAW wrestler, for example, my CAW wrestlers, CJ Mondo and Death Shadow, two of the very good, unique of their own style. But when you get back into CAW, it should be about, having fun, not being controlled, not being told that, if you go here, then, you're not going to stay here. That's the biggest problem I see with creators nowadays. And to me, it's one of those things that I'm just going to say that we're not a dictatorship. We're not a country that, you must, side with Salaki Shabaki or whatever the fuck you want to call him.
Right.
And you must, worship that golden calf or, all that bullshit. And I think that some creators and, even CAW promoters, they need to work together. And the biggest factor is this. And like I said, a lot of people is going to get pissed off what I have to say. A lot of people, hates me to my guts, probably wished I was dead, but I'm just going to speak the truth on things. The thing that they don't fail to tell you is they don't tell you basically what I'm trying to get out. They don't tell you what was said behind your back. They hide it to your face, but when your back's turned, it's like a whole, new thing that you have to find out. Everybody's keeping it hush hush. And I think that right there, especially if you're a CAW wrestler or a CAW promoter, especially a CAW promoter, if you talk about somebody when their back's turned, that's telling everybody what kind of promoter you are, because you're not wanting nobody to succeed. You want to keep everybody for your show just because you want your company to succeed. But at the same time, you're not thinking about it like the real business. Not everybody's going to stay. I get that. Not everybody's going to be your bread and butter. But at the same time, you got to learn that, hey, maybe I need to work with this company because maybe we could do something that entertains and maybe brings in the views. Or, hey, maybe I could do a segment with this company. Maybe it's going to elevate me somehow, somewhere. Think positive side to it. Don't think negative to where, you literally have to find out whose company, who's somebody in, or this company. I mean, it's kind of bullshit. And for everybody, I'm going to go on a rant here because this is Everything CAW podcast, and I think this needs to be out here, with the CAW promoters and CAW creators. The biggest thing that I see is not only they are doing that, but they also turning your friendships away from people. They are trying to manipulate them and believing, oh, he's a good guy, maybe I should listen to him. But when you put the facts in front of them, they don't want to accept truth. They'd rather believe a liar, a pedophile, or any other kind of fucking negative person out there that is, to be honest, this is my opinion. Now, don't hold me 100% to this. This is my opinion. But I don't think these people needs to be in CAW. Bad people need to go. That's just my opinion. You guys got your own opinions to this. But at the same time, getting back on the question, the biggest mistakes, definitely, bad CAW creators making the same mistakes over and over again. That is the biggest mistake I will see out there as well. And another thing I'm going to mention before I turn it over to DJ so he could tell his side of the story is, here's the thing that I've seen in years to come down the road that I think, as a CAW promoter and a CAW creator, that the biggest mistake that new CAW creators make, and also the veterans out there, not even, new CAW creators, but CAW creators and CAW promoters make, is not having truth and rather believe lies over the truth. That right there is going to get you in hot water, because if you blame somebody, you need to think about this. If you blame, let's say, Billy Bob, and Billy Bob didn't do nothing but, was active during your shows and pushed everything to his agenda to make sure your show was better, and you keep blaming Billy Bob for things, Billy Bob's eventually going to get tired of your shit and say, you know what? I was the good guy here. I didn't deserve this shit, but I got blamed for this, that, and the third. He's not going to come back to your show because he's going to feel like that you're blaming him rather than one of his accusers or one of his people that hates him. And that is the biggest thing that I see with the CAW creators nowadays. They don't really want to believe the truth. They rather believe these liars, these guys that, think they are all so good and gravy that, you can put bread and butter and it makes, fantastic, pancakes. If you could put that, little maple syrup and, you can just dig right in and just get your greasy little hands in. But That's what I have to say to that question. Like I said, I could go on and on for days about that question, but that's what I think. So I'm going to turn it over to Chaotic Danger, and he's going to tell you what he thinks about this question. So, Chaotic Danger, you got the floor, brother.
Here's the number one thing I see a lot of. And it ain't just an everyday occurrence that I see this. But I've noticed with certain promotions, they have their so-called favoritism cause. Why do we have favoritism in cars, might I ask? Because for these shows to have this favoritism, they got to have some creators that they use as guinea pigs. Would you want to be a guinea pig in call? No, you wouldn't. At the same time, we are here being equally used, but some shows don't equally use you effectively. And this is my problem with certain shows. They don't give you the push. They don't give you that vision. They don't give you that motivation to let you be creative at times. Why would you want to go to a show that's not letting you be creative? I'll tell you. Because certain owners don't know how to manage their roster. The biggest thing that you don't want to have is be on a show that's not managing this roster effectively. Trust me, I know a lot of shows that manage their roster quite well. I'm in one now with CJ Mundo. I'm in one with ERPW. Managing your roster is one of the most effective things that you can have in call. If you can't manage your roster effectively, lower yourself down to get a number of people. I mean, if you start at 50, start at 50. Work your way from that. If you can put all 50 of those people in position, do so. If you have a 100 base roster and you can work with it, so well. Don't overmanage yourself in call. At the same time, here's my second beef. Here's my second grudge in the call community. Toxic narrative people. Why do we have toxic narrative people in call in the first place? You have your instigators. You have your people that do this. You have your people that do that. Why instigate something when you know damn well you're not going to take the blame for it? You're not going to stand up for what's right in call. This is what we are missing in the call community. People that stands up for what's right. At the same time, y'all don't appreciate what most creators do for a living. And I hate to put that out there because some of these creators know what the fuck they doing. And it's literally getting under real creator skin. Y'all know who y'all are out there. I'll take the heat. I'm just real as I see it. If you can't be real in call, why are you in call? That leads me to the third option. Creators that want to make a difference, want to be the solution to this call community and not the problem. Those that are the problem seem to want to stir the pot every time. Keep things going. Keep those grudges in context. I mean, nobody wants drama. Everybody wants a civil, relaxed group of individuals. This is why it's hard to find call creators in call and why we have to do a thorough background check nowadays in today's standard. If nobody's doing a thorough background check in today's standard of call, then you're missing the plot. CJ would vouch for me when I say that, and a host of other real creators will vouch for me when I say that. You got to do a thorough background check. And another thing I would say is right now, we need to put the minimum requirement on our feds. I don't care how you do it, if you put it on your flyer and all that. Make sure, please make sure you have an 18 plus demographic roster on hand. We don't need nobody under 18. We've had situations happen in these recent days where people lied about their age. And if you lie about your age, why are you in CAW? You don't even deserve to be in CAW. You don't even deserve to have the video game, for crying out loud. I understand it's a video game, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, know who you're bringing into your fed. And that's really the most hard I have to say, because you don't want to have an underage kid in a chat with a group full of adults. That is bad. Very bad. And that attracts a lot of things that I'm going to mention, pedophiles, and whatever the case may be. But you don't want that around your chat. I'm just giving people a heads up warning. Watch the age who you bring in CAW. And I'll pass it over back to CJ for the next one.
This one all has to do with identity and philosophy. And in order to do that, guys, you also got to remember what started the war between leeches and batteries. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you're not going to know exactly what I'm trying to say.
Go back to a previous episode we've had on the channel. That'll explain everything.
Pretty much. Leeches and batteries, I'll sum this up pretty quick. Leeches are your people that is toxic, that is doing everything to destroy CAW. Batteries are there, are people there to help you improve, to help you, get better at the game, to where you're having positive confidence in yourself, but positive confidence around your brothers in the locker room, or maybe even sisters. And the thing about this is, now, what started the war between leeches and batteries? I can tell you one thing that starts a lot of wars between the leeches and batteries. And one of those things, if you have a good person in the room, I don't care if you've done nothing, you set one good person in a room full of leeches, they will be like a pack of wolves trying to find out how can they destroy that battery, because they don't like the positive charge in that battery. Because they know that one positive charge in that battery takes out the whole room of leeches. So basically, the question that basically sets this whole thing afloat is, the war could start between the battery leeches. It may be personal life. They could, find out that you're dating somebody, get involved and say, oh, let's talk about this person's kid or that person's kid, or let's make a fake account. Let's take his Facebook picture and put it on here, and let's do this to him. Let's see what he does. The thing is about that is, you're not making it a CAW thing. You're now becoming a leech that is trying to destroy something that you can't have power or control over, because somebody is pointing the obvious out in the room, and you can't stand that somebody is calling you out for not only for your bullshit as the identity part, but also the philosophy. It switches to a psychological level to where you can't play these mind games with these individuals, because now the mind games are shut off, and it becomes to a point to where it's now you're sitting back in the room listening to yourself. You're like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have just left it alone, and I wouldn't be in the position that I am. Maybe that's the reason why that I got kicked out of another E-Fed, because of me being the leech and being toxic to CAW and trying to destroy something maybe you need to realize that not everything is blamed on that one battery. It's blamed on the leech, because the leech, they love to start the war. The batteries don't start wars. It's always the leeches. It's always the toxic people in CAW. It's always the people that are destroying CAW, the people that just don't want CAW to exist, the people that is jealous of your success or jealous of what you've done in the CAW industry, and they want you definitely canceled. That's the truth there. But I'm going to pull this over to DJ so he can tell his side of what started the war between leeches and batteries, so he can give you a little information depth of what I was saying, so he can add on to it.
Now, this is my personal reason and gripe with this whole outlook here. And take this in context as I say this. The number one pet peeve about the whole outlook of this is that you got to know, you got to read the room sometimes when it comes down to these things. Reading the room tells you who's a leech, who's batteries, and who's just neutral that just want to help you grow. There are certain creators that's going to attract to you because you're the rookie. You're fresh meat to them. At the same time, if they're not picking your brain or questioning certain outlooks of things, that's a red flag right there. Because you can tell who's the favorites and who's not the favorites. That's another real interesting outlook that you got to look at as well. Because most of these favorites, they are company tied to that championship. And it goes as follows. You can go into getting a championship all you want. But some of these creators and promoters don't like to associate well. And another thing about it is they stay in character way too long than expected. If you stay in character...
Here's another thing that I'm going to say. Leeches use psychological fear when they get called out, because now they know their game's been exposed. So DJ brought up a good point just by saying that, but go on, DJ.
And then, like, when they stay in character for too long, and you can sense it because they don't say out of character or whatever the case may be, these are the ones you know that's that company's favorite in general. That takes me back to the favoritism. Every company has their favorites. They're not just going to let you ruin what helped them build in general. But some lenient creators that I know of, they would allow you to be creative in your own aspect. Like, watch the promoters you go to. I'm gonna say it before I say it again. Watch the promoters you go to. Pick their brain if you have to before you make the deal with them. I'm gonna say that now because some creators need to hear it. Some creators are hard-headed and not listen to the warning signs, or you don't see the warning signs when you first look at it. But those warning signs are there for a reason. And if you don't see them, check your Twitter page, check your Facebook. Come to a creator that knows the guys that you are referring to. There are a lot of creators out here that's wanting to help. There's some out here that's wanting to be assholes. I'm being blunt and honest with it. It's up to you to read the room and know who's who and what's what. And I'll leave it at that.
So here's another good one too. It says leeches. drains energy from others to survive, and that's true. Maybe they not drain others, but they drain it from a positive battery. In other words, they make you feel like that you have nothing left in your tank. You're done with CAW. You quit. You hang up the boots. You don't come back to 2K communities no more. And these leeches are the complete opposite of batteries. They are there to try to destroy you. They are there to try to pick you off. They are there to literally try to tell you everything's fine in the world. But they are the same ones. You can guarantee they're the same ones that when you're in a room with somebody, they are telling your enemy every word that you say to a person and going back and being a messenger. You can damn sure believe that.
Exactly.
Now, the batteries, they store and gives energy power to things. They basically help you. They basically are there to support you. They're there to give you, brotherly love, communication. There's a lot of intakes to this that I'm trying to get in for information so you guys can understand. These leeches, they don't help you. They don't care if you live or die. They don't care about you as a character. They will try to do everything to falsely accuse you of stuff. I mean, they are there to tear you down. They're not there to build you up, unlike the battery is there to build you up. But at the same time, basically says right here, leeches drain energy from others to survive. They're going to do it to you. They're going to do it to your friends. And eventually, they're going to do it to everybody they can to get the memo out that they are not your fans. They are your haters and will always be your haters. That's the identify and philosophy part to this whole concept.
And the other thing about it is this: where there's haters, there's your biggest contributors to your career. Because people who hate on you see your success. They see that you're climbing up the ladder. As long as you're climbing up that ladder, they're going to try every way possible to bring you back down the ladder. And that's really all that needs to be said there, because got to watch out for these guys.
So going back on this, I feel like that this needs to be talked about too on this is this thing that I'm about ready to pop up right now. And bear with me as I get some of this stuff off. But the thing is decay versus power. If you look up the definition of decay, it's basically to rotten or to basically let something set for a while to where it's no longer in existence. Same way with leeches. They are there to literally drain you of everything you once loved. They don't care about what you want to do with your life. They don't care about who you're dating. They don't care about nothing. They want to destroy you any way possible because they are mad because somebody caught them out. They got their dick hurt, their butt hurt, whatever the case may be, compared to a battery, which is the power side of things. When you become a battery, it changes the whole concept because now you got the power to kick them out. You got the power and authority to get rid of these people that you basically have the voice and say, listen, I don't need you in here. I've gave you multiple chances, maybe 2 or 3 chances. You didn't cut through. I'm done. You kick them to the curb, and guess what? Now you got somebody mad at you, and now they go into the leech, telling the leech, oh, they done this and this and this and this and this and this to me. Then you got a bunch of leeches after you because they can't stand the 5-letter word that is presented here from the batteries, POWER, and that's power.
Right. And we all know the power-hungry, structured people. These are the people that like to manipulate you, take away your creative freedom, do the unthinkable to your call, whether it be lowering down the overall, stripping you of moves, doing this and doing that. Like, it's a lot of things I can mention that you have with these power-hungry creators and owners of each segment. Don't get it confused and don't get it twisted. They are here to ruin everything we love about CAW. This is why you need to be alert what shows are the ones that do this. This is why we put out the official EFED blacklist show and ownership list to make you alert to these groups. Don't be all up in arms because a certain fed you want to go to is on this list. No. It's called being alert. If you do go to this fed, be prepared for a power-hungry structure, not an equal playing field structure. There's a huge difference. You know, CJ?
Yep, I totally get
But
you on that.
can't sit there and let these power-hungry structures abuse your CAW by any way, shape, or form. You can't allow these power-hungry structures to abuse your CAW. You got to get around the level playing field guy to make sure you got the best effective results in CAW. Don't be a fool like most of these creators do. Learn your EFED. If you have to, have them send you the link to their channel. Watch these shows before you give your assessment. These are things I'm saying that's going to be vital to how you go about being on the show. Because as long as you go watch, if you go watch the shows and you like what you see, hey, go to that creator and say, sign me up. But don't rush your decision. Make your decision valid for you.
So I'm about ready to put something up here that this is the truest thing that I'm going to say here with everything CAW. I hope you guys are, taking information with this, because this is the whole point of, us to do this so you guys can have a clear understanding of what we are talking about, with the leeches part. So I'm going to show it up here. The leech problem, how is it destroying CAW from the inside? And also, we're going to add a banner here. Haters are the leeches. Read that one more time. Of what?
Of CAW.
Of CAW.
Haters are the leeches of CAW. And that's 100% facts.
Here's the thing, and here's a speech that I wrote out. It took me 3 to 4 days to write this out. It's probably going to take 30 minutes or less. So bear with me. And I promise I'll let DJ speak, word for word what I'm saying. That way, if you guys got any questions answered, I got DJ here to literally answer any questions you guys have. Maybe it's in the comment section. Maybe you don't know what we're talking about and you want us to fill you in. Hey, that's what we're here for. But going back on this, I'm going to say one time. I need everybody in CAW to hear it loud and clear. The biggest problem in the wrestling universe isn't injuries, isn't bad luck. It isn't competition. It's the leeches. I'm not talking about a faction anymore. I'm talking about the mindset. I'm talking about the energy. I'm talking about the people who sits in the shadows, watching everybody build something, watching everybody create something instead of doing it themselves. They drain it. I've said it. Haters are the leeches. They don't compete. They don't create. They don't build anything worth remembering. They just attach themselves to anything successful and trying to pull it down piece by piece. And that is exactly what's poisoning CAW right now. Because every time somebody starts rising, every time somebody starts getting momentum, every time somebody becoming something real, here comes the leeches. Here comes the wars trying to drain the confidence. Here comes the whispers, the negativities, the sabotage, the fake love, the backstabbing energy, and the people doubt themselves before they can even step in the ring. That's not criticism. That's not feedback. That's not being real. That's draining. That's leech behavior. And I'm calling out right now because too many people in CAW are confusing hate with honesty. Too many people are letting negativity sit in their heads rent-free, letting people who have never built anything tell them how to destroy what they're building. Let me make something very clear. A real competitor builds energy. A real wrestler builds momentum. A real creator builds legacy. But a leech, a hater, they don't build anything. They attach themselves to your success just to try to make it feel smaller. And if they say you're not good enough while you're never stepping in the ring themselves, they say you're overrated while nobody knows their name. They say you fall off while they never been on. And that's the truth. In CAW, we need to wake up because the more you listen to leeches, the more you become drained. The more you hesitant, the more you second guess yourself, the more you start performing at your full level. That's exactly what they want. They don't want you to beat you in the ring. They want to beat you in your mind. And that's why I draw the line. Because in this company, this universe, and this entire CAW world, I've helped build, I've seen evolving every single day, and I refuse to let haters dictate success. I refuse to let leeches decide who deserves to rise and who doesn't. You don't get drained. You don't get to drain somebody just because you're not willing to build yourself. You don't get attached yourself to someone's hard work just to pull them down. You don't definitely get to call it real talk when you're doing it. I'm not saying directly to every wrestler, every creator, every champion, every rookie's trying to make it. Stop letting leeches field your doubt. Stop letting haters drain your momentum. Stop letting negativity control your story. But once you cut them off, once you remove the drain, once you stop feeding them attention, you start to realize something real. You will never weak. You were just being drained. And when that stops, that's when the real power shows up. That's when the batteries start charging again. That's when momentum comes back. That's when CAW stops being a battlefield of options and becomes a battlefield of results. So let the leeches talk. Let the haters say what they want, because while they're busy draining energy, we're busy building legacy. And the only truth that they can't drain, they can't fake, and they can't stop, real talent always powers back up. This is CAW Everything or Everything CAW podcast. We don't get drained, we recharge.
That's a whole fact. That's a whole fact. At the same time, I valid everything that was said there because it holds volumes. But one of the major things that I'm going to say right now, and I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart, don't feel like you don't have a place that you can call home. Don't feel like you're in a situation where you can't get out of it. There's always a solution. There's always a way. You just got to get around the right group of individuals to help you succeed to get past that. Because I understand, ever since I started in 2K23, there are people that don't like to see you succeed. They have to see you fail. They have to see you struggle. They have to call you out of not being who you say you are. Don't let them phase you. Rise up to the occasion. Be better than who you say they are. Only you can. This is why you be on the game. This is why you take months, days, maybe years to perfect your call to how you want it. Make it as deadly as you want to be. Don't let these owners or their rules restrict you from putting your overall potential out there. I mean, this is why we have blacklists out here, to be alert and effective. This is why we need the CAW community to come together to say who are the names y'all know that are blacklisted. Like, let us know.
So
like, we only have but so many names, right, TJ?
Yep. So this is going to be a CAW leeches list. And I'm going to put this here in the chat. I hope you guys can see this. And I'm going to build this up as where it needs to be. So bear with me as DJ gets ready to do what he's got to do on his end. But I'm trying to do the best I can from this. So the leech's symbol of fake negativity. And what I mean by fake, it's the symbols of negativity. It's not really fake. So let me go change that real quick. Okay. So, okay, the symbols of negativity. Here's top 10 symbols of negativity that I've noticed in CAW. And, you know, this is with the leeches. Is shadow reply. The master of fake comments, false narratives always appear after big wins to say something like, he done this or he done that kind of bullshit. Also, here's the Ghost X account, which means they never show identity, always switches names, specializes in starting rumors and disappearing before being confronted. In other words, they don't want to come, like DJ said before, they don't really want to come out with the truth. It's always, you know, throwing somebody else under the bus. Always snitching. You know, there's an old saying that goes in the street language, snitches get stitches. Wonder why that is, because when you name drop somebody and run your mouth on somebody online, don't care if it's a video game or not, somebody's going to pull up to your block. That's truth.
Mm-hmm. Big fact.
Big facts. Something to write down to take notice and maybe just shut your mouth on rather than run your mouth and try to be this fake person that you're not. Wonder who I'm talking to on everything CAW. Now we get into jealous types. Represents envy-driven hate. Hates anyone getting spotlight and tries to downplay every success. There's a lot of those people that's jealous type. They can't stand you know, people working together that they never thought in years would work together because of their bullshit. Makes perfectly good sense there on everything CAW. The clout drainer attaches to popular wrestlers just to use their name for attention. When ignored, turns negative instantly. Another good spotlight here that needs to be shown. Because I know a lot of those are clout drainers. Definitely one of those that I could name right off the bat that is clout drainers. But I'm not naming no names. I'm showing the professionalism side to this. Fake analysis. Acts like a wrestling expert, but only talks negative. Never praises anything. Only criticizes to look smarter. Big thing here. Big top 5 right off the bat. But we're going to the top 10. But this is the biggest thing that I see that is a leech in the CAW world. Now we get on to comment section king. Hides behind group chats and Discord threads. Starts drama but never shows up to events or shows. Good information there. There's some of these people that fits into the comment section king. Because they never show up to the show, but boy, they love to start drama and hide group chats and hide Discords, and they don't want to be seen, but they put anything that they can do to try to start drama.
Facts. All facts here.
Facts there, like DJ said. 100% facts.
As soon as you're done, CJ, I got the biggest one of them all. And I think you're going to love this one.
Well, we almost done with the top 10, but we add one more. It'd be top 11 because DJ's got one more. Copycat burner. Steals ideas, then claims others are boring or unoriginal. Pure contradiction energy. In other words, be original. Quit stealing ideals from other content creators. Quit trying to be something that you're not. I know one person right off the bat I can name right off the bat, and Kevin Impact can pretty much put it in the chat if he wants, if he's listening. That's the only thing I'm saying. Momentum breakers. Shows up when someone else is rising, tries to mentally distract talent before big matches. That right there is another one. I definitely know a person that done that, but I can't name no names because I'm trying to be professional. Fake concern. Pretends to care but always pushes doubt and negativity. Uses fake positivity to spread real negativity. Know a lot of them. That's the top 9. And finally, on my side, the leech system represents the worst of them all. Feeds off the entire call success, tried to influence groups, rosters, and outcomes behind the scenes. That's what I call the leech system. Take heed to what I said there, but DJ's got one more, and DJ, go ahead and tell number 11.
Number 11, and I hope these people pay fucking attention to this one. Leeching off other creators' ideas and perspectives of attire. Meaning, you steal other ideas off of community creations, little ideas you see on Twitter, and you fight and destroy what real creators built with that gimmick and attire. In other words, don't be one of those individuals that half-ass your call and thinks, okay, it's good. Let me go on community creations and find something that I like attire-wise. You take that attire just to find out that somebody calls you out on Twitter for stealing their attire or not being creative. Don't do that. Be original for once. Come up with something of your own perspective and ideas. Because I've been seeing a lot of leeching off of other creators and not giving them full credit for what they do. And that's just real facts. Like, I know a lot of creators who do that, CJ, and I'm not saying no names.
Yep. So I think we pretty much gave enough here on this podcast. So I'm going to go with closing thoughts. And if you guys got any questions, now's the time to do so if you're in the live stream. Because if not, we won't get to your questions until the next episode of Everything CAW. So be on a very questionable act and make sure the question is a positive question that you want to learn about more about these leeches, because we ain't gonna, just because you're a hater and think you're just gonna question us, we're not gonna question, we ain't gonna answer no haters questions. So if you are to the channel and supportive of this channel, go ahead and put the closing thoughts for the questions, of course, in the live chat.
Right. And by all means, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned, be alert for future things coming to the channel, UFC 6 and upcoming gameplay of 007, you name it, or comment below what you want to see on the channel as a whole. I mean, the owner is right here looking forward to seeing what's ahead.
So pretty much, we said what we had to say, but if DJ wants to give his final thoughts, and then I'll give you mine. DJ, I'll let you go first, and I'll take the main event on this one.
Now, my final thoughts is this, and I'm not going to put this out there. I'm just putting this out there for reference reasons only, for you new creators and upcoming creators. You already know where we stand on this. Make sure you have fun. Enjoy what CAW is bringing you. Get around some creators that had the same vision, the same thought process, and the same goal as you. At the end of the day, we are here for each other. At the same time, appreciate and value what you have in CAW. Because I don't think enough people value and appreciate what's in CAW. At the same time, you get around some of these owners, pick their brain. Get a little insight. If you're starting an eFed, oh, we're going to have chats available. Just comment below your Facebook name or IG or whatever, and we'll gladly send you a DM to join us in these chats. Get around other owners that you can pick their brain. Same thing with logos. If you need logos, we're here. Just ask. We ain't hard to find. At the end of the day, I'll leave it at that. Until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen.
So I want to say this before we leave is this. I'm going to bring this one all the way home, basically. Everything I said about CAW, about the leeches, about the haters, about the mindset, it comes down to one simple truth. The business only works when people are building it, not breaking it down. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care what faction you represent. I don't care who you support. If you're in CAW just to drain others, just to hate on others, to stop momentums instead of creating your own, you are the problem. But let me be real, talk to the real ones for a second. The one that's grinding, the ones creating characters, the ones that's building the stories, the ones putting in the work even when nobody's watching. You are the energy of CAW. You are the batteries. Because every time somebody tries to drain you, you still show up. Every time somebody tries to hate on you and you still perform, every time somebody tries to slow you down, but you still rise. That's power they cannot take from you. That's something no leech can steal. So yeah, let them talk, let them top, let them expose themselves for being the leech. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything